So as Pokemon fans, we probably all have these few Pokemon where it's like, hey, I used to really like this Pokemon, but as time goes on, it kind of wears off on you and you just don't really like them anymore. Or hey, you could just absolutely hate them now for certain reasons, whether it be you're just disappointed on how this Pokemon plays, or they're just not fun to play against, or just random other reasons that you don't need. Like, for example, I used to really like Kingdra. Kingdra was one of my favorite dragon types of all time. But as time goes on, I got really disappointed with it, especially because, and for the main reason, is because I saw the beta version of Kingdra, and I really, really liked the beta version of Kingdra. I really liked it. And I think it looks so much more cooler, majestic, and fierce. Because for me, I always liked Seadra a lot more than Kingdra. Like, Seadra is just really, really fierce looking. It looks really cool. And it looks a lot more like beta Seadra or Kingdra, sorry, than it does now. And I think it fits more into the evolution because also it just looks more dragon-like. Because I don't really get why Kingdra is a dragon type and Seadra isn't. I think Seadra looks more dragon-like in a way because it looks more fierce. Also, I just don't really get why Seadra or the whole Horsey line has this really weird evolutionary line. So usually with evolutionary lines, they usually have like, hey, this is the cool version, and then the baby version, which is all cute, or you'll have this uh cooler to cooler to cooler, or stronger to stronger to stronger, or weak to strong with like Gyarados. So it really never made sense why it turns from cute to cool to majestic. It just doesn't really click to me, I guess. Like, I still think it's cool. It's just kind of disappointing me, especially because if you look at stats, it has a 95 special attack stat, and Seadra also has the same 95 special attack stat, so they hit for the same amount of damage, which is just something that never really understood to me. I think it should usually hit more and should do a little bit better than the baby version. Obviously, there's some cases like, uh, let's say Shaninja, where it's a special case that has no HP, so that makes sense. But usually, I would want it to be a little bit stronger than the baby version, you know? So yeah, that's kind of why I kind of just over time kind of grew distance to Kingdra. Like I don't really enjoy it that much anymore. I still like it. I think it's still cool. I just kind of wish that we had the beta version because the beta version is just so cool to me. Meanwhile, this is just like, why didn't you choose the baby or the new beta version? So yeah, that's kind of my reasoning for not really liking Kingdra too much anymore. And moving on to another one. Now, this is not in any particular order, like, oh, this is one I hate the most, or hey, I don't like this Pokemon more, or I like this Pokemon more. I'm just kind of going on off of Pokemon that I kind of just, over time, I just kind of grew distant to. Another one is Unknown. Now, Unknown to me was really cool. It was very, very mysterious, and they seemed very important at the time. But as it goes on, they just seem very useless. Like there's no point to them. I just feel like, hey, they're not really strong at all. Because 72, they pretty much do nothing. They only know hidden power, so you have one type of move and it's not really that strong. It's like 60 base power. So it's not even like it's do anything. And they don't really solve any kind of like super duper puzzle, or you don't usually get anything for collecting them all. They're just kind of there and they just seem useless for the most part. They're not strong, they don't really do anything in the main game, and there's no reward to them. Something I liked in Pokemon Brick Bronze, which was like a old fan made Pokemon game for Roblox, where you could get legendaries from getting a certain unknowns and like writing for them. That's something I wish that they did more with the unknowns, because I don't think they really do anything at all anymore. Like I think the most that they do is like if you can decipher them, you get a little bit of lore, and that's pretty cool. But outside of that, I feel like that they're just like boring and they don't do anything. And that's my main reason why I don't really care for Unknown anymore. I don't hate them, I just feel like that they are losing a lot of potential because they do seem very mysterious, but over time, they just don't do anything anymore. And moving from Unknown is Glalie and Bennett. They're both kind of in the same camp as them, where I think they were really cool at one time, but over time, they're just not good. Like I got disappointed of using them. Like Bennett, at least with Bennett, it hits decently hard in Hoenn games with Shadow Ball, 150 or not 150, I'm sorry, 115. It's a pretty good stat to have, but everything else is absolutely bad. It's pretty slow and really frail. So you can't really use it that much. And Glalie, all of his stats is at 80. So it's just kind of like they're just kind of disappointing me. I like them. I think their megas are really fun. I think their megas are pretty solid. They're not the best things out in the world, but they're pretty solid. And then with Banette, it's even more disappointing because for Banette, it was it's probably the most creepiest looking Pokemon in my opinion. There's probably a few of them that are pretty creepy too, but for Banette, I just found it really creepy and I liked it for that aspect because usually with ghost Pokemon, even with Gengar was seen as really creepy, but over time they made it super cute and cuddly and it's like it kind of ruins the vibe to it in a certain degree. And then moving on from these two, because they kind of say share the same camp where they were Pokemon I liked, but over time they're just really bad, is Chansey and Blissey. Oh my god, I hate these guys. I absolutely hate them. And the main reason for this is because that they're just not fun to use at all. Or not fun to use, or I hate battling against them. They're just horrible to battle against. Because they live on forever, and there's not really a good way to get rid of them real quickly. You usually want a really strong fighting type. Like in the past, I would play Pokemon Planet, which was a MMO fan-made Pokemon game. It's still up now. I think it kind of died down a bit, but like everyone would use it, and the only really way to reliably kill it would be using a strong fighting type. But everyone would either run something like Zapdos with it, so like, hey, if you use close combat or something, oh, now you have to worry about Zapdos, and then you could status it, or it would get status by what's it called? The ability that lets you like if you hit it with contact, you get paralyzed, or just in general like paralyzing. But not only that, even if you just like try to predict the read by using something like Ice Punch on it, hey, chances it could stay and it could eat up the hit and heal itself again with Soft Boil, or it could just paralyze you or toxic you. Like the only Pokemon that I could think of that could reliably kill it without having to worry about that type of thing is Conkeldurr, which was a Pokemon I would use specifically to fight Blissey or Chansey, because Conkeldurr has guts and it's really, really strong. So I would have to play more, but I wouldn't have to worry too much about being paralyzed or toxic because it would be burned, right? So that was a really good Pokemon to deal with it. But again, I either would have to worry about either Zapdos or Lando T. And hey, I like Lando T. I actually really like Lando T. I don't think it's as annoying as everyone else thinks it is. But yeah, Chansey was just super annoying because it would never die. And even if you tried to kill it with something that could counter it, they usually have a really good teammate to just stop your kill. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, it really, really just got annoying to fight against because you could never kill it. And then it could just annoy you. And then another Pokemon that I really started to hate over time is Charizard. Like, it's not that I really like hate it that much. I don't think Charizard is a bad Pokemon. Like, honestly, like without a bias look into it, I think Charizard is a good like designed Pokemon. It's just a fire dragon. There's something bad about it. But over time, I just got really, really annoyed. Like, it started off in X and Y, where it's like, it got 2 megas, okay, whatever. It's the fan favorite, it's super popular, and it's Ash's, like, main ace Pokemon. So yeah, it's fine, whatever. Sure, give it 2 more megas. It's super popular, fine. I get that they need some kind of super popular Pokemon to show off the new gimmick. But then something really annoying happened. They gave Charizard a Gigantamax form, which was fine. Again, a new gimmick. They need a new popular Pokemon. But then they gave Leon Charizard as the ace, which I really didn't like that. Because I think an ace Pokemon for a champion should be a Pokemon from their generation to show off the generation. Like, that's the whole thing about it. Like, why not give Leon a Dragapult or something? Like, that would have been so much cooler to me. And I didn't like that they gave it a random, like, Kanto Pokemon, right? Like, the only Pokemon, like, champion that I think has a non-region of their championship or whatever, like their Pokemon Ace is not a Pokemon from the region is Lance. And for Lance, I kind of give him more of a leeway because for one, he's already from Kanto to begin with. He's an already made Pokemon character, so that's fine. But also, the only dragon types they had were Dragonite and Kingdra at the time, and Kingdra was already a ace of Claire, and they didn't want to like, oh, just give both dragon type trainers the same ace. So that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But why Charizard? It's already the ace of blue, right? Or one of the aces of blue. The Kanto Stars of the ace. So that already takes away a really cool champion ace, right? Like you gave them the exact same ace, which made no sense to me. And not only that, but you couldn't even get Squirtle and Bulbasaur. And that happens in the same game or the next game. In Scarlet and Violet, you get Charizard, but you have to wait for the DLC for both Bulbasaur and Squirtle. That makes no sense to me. I don't like when you just separate starters like that. Like I understand why they separated starters for Legends Arceus, that one is fair to me. It makes sense because they want to show off more regions. So that's fair to me, but I don't like this blatant favoritism. Like Charizard is just annoying to me now because they just gave it too much stuff where it's like it just gets annoying. It's shoving down your face at that point, and I don't think anyone likes that. Like I kind of like Lucario to begin with, but I felt like Lucario also kind of got that treatment, but it wasn't as bad as Charizard, right? Charizard is just so annoying now. And the thing is, Charizard wasn't even that good outside of the megas, right? Charizard was just like eh. So that's just kind of one of the things where just disappointed me, right? It's just that it got shoved in everyone's face. And I don't hate it like everyone else. I'm just annoyed with it. And then for the newer Pokemon, like from this generation, is Tarantula, like the little bug, Route 1 bug, the spider guy. And I used to really like this Pokemon. I still do like it to a certain point, but I don't like it as I did. Mainly because of Spidots, right? Because I saw the leak and I got really excited for it, and then I saw Spidots. I don't like the design of Spidots. I really don't. It used to be one of my least, like, the Pokemon I hate the most, but over time, I don't hate it as much as I used to, mainly because Tarantula, I lost love for it because of Spidots. It kind of like a mutual thing where it's like, I hate Spidots, and I love the Tarantula, but over time, since I don't like each other, or like, I don't like Spidots, I kind of disliked Tarantula. And because I loved Tarantula so much, I hated Spidots. And it kind of grew to like, you know what, I don't really care too much about Tarantula no more. It just disappointed me, and I kind of wish they made a cooler design. Because to me, I just feel like Spidots is unfinished. Like, it's not a fully evolved Pokemon. If it were a second form, sure, like I could see it turning into something random. I kind of give like middle forms a little bit of a leeway because they're building up upon a new one and they're making a new Pokemon. But it's a fully evolved Pokemon, and it just doesn't look cool to me. I don't like how it looks, right? So yeah, that's just kind of disappointed me. And then for the last Pokemon I wanted to talk about is Iron Thorns. Now, I loved Tyranitar. Tyranitar was one of my favorite Sue legendaries at the time, but to me, Iron Thorns kind of just like disappointed me because I don't like that's a rock type. I just don't like that it's a rock type. I just wish that it was a steel type because it makes no sense why it's a rock. There's no rock at all to it. Like there's no rock at all. I just wish that it was a steel type, and that's my main complaint. And over time, I got just kind of like got disappointed with Paradox Pokemon. I liked, um, I liked some of the Paradox Pokemon. I think they were cool. I kind of like the uh past forms more, and I just don't really like the uh what's it called? The physical, non-physical, future forms. I just don't really like them. I just don't really like them. I just feel like they didn't really change too much about them other than they're robots now. And it's really disappointing because a lot of the typings that they were given don't really make any sense. The only the only future form I actually like is Iron Hands. Iron Hands is cool, but out of everything else, doesn't really make any sense to me that much. Like Jugulus, I think Jugulus is funny to say because Jugulus. What is a Jugulus? What is a Jugulus? I don't know what Jugulus is. Like I never heard of it before. But it's just like it's Hydreigon, but like they just like smoothed him out. Like they like made him circular, and that's like it. There's nothing to it. It's so disappointing because you could have made something really cool, like with Hydreigon used to be bleh, sorry. But with Hydreigon, it was designed to be a tank at first. Like you could see with the tire tracks on its belly. Like they made the iron threads or not iron threads, but the threads on his belly, like the purple, that was like a little like nod to its being a tank at first. But they didn't want to make it because they didn't want to tank a Pokemon, right? And that's kind of like what Octillery was too. So that's cool. But like, yeah, I kind of just like Iron or not Iron Pokemon, but like Paradox Pokemon overall just kind of like disappointed me. And then just another like thing, like a class of Pokemon that I don't necessarily hate, but it's a legendary Pokemon. Now, I don't hate legendary Pokemon. I like some legendary Pokemon, especially Groudon. Like, I love Groudon. Groudon is so cool, right? I think legendary is so cool, but I just don't like using them. Like, I just don't like using them. It feels like cheating because it's already a really easy game. Why do I need to use a Pokemon that can just destroy everything? That's just kind of like my stance on legendaries. Like I just kind of like, and they just lost oomph to me just because I don't like using them as much anymore. So yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts on Pokemon that I kind of like over time. I like them, but they went downhill to me. So yeah, uh, maybe next time I will make a video on Pokemon that I do like now. So yeah, bye bye.